Okay, so let's get started. We're going to be taking a look at how to dial in our port fuel injection, changing our low and high slope values. If we're finding we're in a situation where we have a good known MAF curve on a Mustang, however, we're finding that our fuel trims are off, our injector data probably needs to be tweaked and adjusted, and we can use our low and high slope to get our fuel trims better dialed in. So this is going to be focusing on this specific technique using our low and high slopes. This is applicable only to a Mustang application and not to an F-150 that's speed density based. We'll be taking a look in this tutorial at our VCM editor software, using our VCM scanner software, and finally also using our Excel spreadsheet calculator from our training course folder. So I'm going to have all three open here going through this demonstration. So the first thing we want to do is go up here, go to File, go to Open. I'm going to open up a stock equivalent file. Now I'm going to open up a Mach 1 specific file because my data log and the vehicle that I've captured the data log from is a Mach 1. The Mach 1 has a different MAF curve. So the MAF period versus airflow curve is different from a Mustang GT. This is important because if we're going to be doing this tuning technique using our VCM scanner for a table overlay, using our Excel spreadsheet calculator in order to tune the low and high slopes, we need to make sure that the MAF curve from our calibration file matches our table overlays within the scanner software. So if you have a GT, obviously you're going to be opening up a GT file. I'm going to open up my Mach 1 file here. So let's go up into the Mach 1 option. So 2022 Mach 1. I'm going to go in here to Engine, and we're going to move over here from General to Fuel over to General. Now we're going to be taking a look how we can edit our low and high slope values in our injector programming to get our fuel trims better dialed in. Now, I have to preface this by saying, if you're trying to dial in your MAF, you say you've changed out your intake and you've changed out your injectors at the same time. It's going to be difficult to figure out if you have your closed loop fuel trims being off. Let's say it's adding some fuel or taking some fuel away. It's going to be difficult to sort out where the air is coming from in your fueling delivery. If it's going to be coming from the mass airflow curve that needs to be edited, or if it's coming from your injector data. The last thing we want to do is absorb bad injector data into our MAF curve when we're calibrating and tuning things. That can throw off airflow modeling, which will throw off our torque modeling, which will create a cascading effect through the calibrating and tuning process. If at all possible, I would recommend to keep your stock port injectors in and tune out the MAF curve knowing you have good injector data. Then switch your injectors over to the aftermarket injectors, which will then allow you to spot any deviations in your fueling trims, which then can be dialed in more precisely using the method that I'm going to show in this tutorial, editing our low and high slopes here. So hopefully it makes sense. We don't want to go after immediately the low and high slope tuning. If you've changed the MAF and injectors at the same time, it's going to be essentially chasing your tail, and you're not going to know where the error is coming from. Okay, so now that I've pointed that out, let's talk about what we have going on here. So our low slope signifies the nonlinear behavior of the injector. The high slope signifies the linear behavior of the injector. We had a separate tutorial talking about our port injector programming data and how it all works in the engine control module's logic. Now we have our breakpoint here. The breakpoint is what separates going from low to high slope. We're going to be using the low and high slope along with our breakpoint value here, as well as our offset voltages. This is going to be combining everything into our Excel spreadsheet calculator to tell us, along with some log data from our VCM scanner, what we need to edit a low or high slope by. So for example, if we're driving around and our fuel trims are off and we've changed the injector, we know we have the MAF curve dialed in, everything's good. We've changed the injectors, we see things are off, let's say a couple percent all throughout the MAF curve. Well, we'll find if we want to dial things in a little bit more precisely, we can adjust the low or the high slope independently and fix the fueling error coming from our port fuel injecting data. Now, we can take a look real quick here under our DI-PI blending, under our warm table here. This is going to signify what we want coming through in terms of fuel flow from our port injectors or from the gasoline diesel injection or GDI system. So the DI side of things or the port side of things. Really, to take a look at this, the most effective way would be going in here and probably grabbing up to about maybe 0.6 load and just zeroing this out. That would allow you to have a better evaluation of your fuel trim impact for low and high slope tuning rather than trying to blend anything with your GDI or direct injection putting fuel into the engine. You would know that the GDI system, so your actual direct injectors, shouldn't have any air there because you're not going to be changing those out. Any air that lies within your fueling model would be coming from the port injectors, but just to make sure that there's no errors coming from the GDI system and complicating this process, I would recommend to just zero everything out from 0.6 load and below and focusing on just dialing in your low and high slopes. That's another stipulation that I wanted to point out. So this would be having a good known MAF curve already in place, so the fuel trims are pretty much dialed in, maybe 2-3% at most throughout any cell point in your MAF curve, and you're going into your DI-PI blending and setting that probably at 0.6 load and below, going in and making sure that it's riding just on your port fuel injection. So that way you can evaluate just the port injection side of things and any errors that lie. Thanks for checking out our teaser clip. If you want to see the rest of this video and more than 500 hours of current EFI training we have to offer, make sure you click right here. If you want to go and check out more teaser clips from this training course, click here, and you don't want to miss any of the videos we're going to be releasing on this channel, so make sure you subscribe and click here. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys later.